So I spent 5 hours and 42 minutes answering questions for small business owners who want to generate leads on LinkedIn, like literally live on a call. It was at a live workshop that we just ran. We had about 200 attendees and we're running another one in T minus an hour and holy shit, 10 minutes. Okay, ready to go. But it really reminded me, answering these questions for everyone back on my journey and like the three biggest mistakes that I made when I first started out in business. And when I started out like dead set for the first 8 months, I lost $180,000 and I was like nearly fucked until I was able to turn around. So I just want to run you through what those mistakes were now, so you just hopefully don't have to deal with them yourself. So if you don't know me, my name is Matthew Lakajev, and I've generated over 47,000 leads in 18 months on LinkedIn, $0 on paid ads, and 100% organic content. All right, mistake number one is really not having a niche. When I started my business in November 2022, I was helping everyone. I was doing cold calling, cold emailing, sales consulting, because the problem was like, usually when you're a business owner like yourself, you're smart. You can solve a lot of problems. And that's probably why you left a job, because you realized I want some bigger and better things. The problem with that though, is when you try to help everyone, you end up helping no one. And so I spent 8 months literally doing all these random different things. And when you do random different things, nobody can even remember what you actually even do, which is like a huge problem. It wasn't until like, 8 months into my journey and literally burning $180,000 of my savings. Like I remember watching that tiny amount in my bank account that I had left thinking, hey, fuck, I've got to make this thing work, that I actually forced to make a change. And it was when I decided to literally double down and just help one person solve one problem through one unique mechanism. And that's it. And it felt stupid because, I'm previously really good at cold calling, cold emailing, but I decided, I'm going to help small business owners with less than 5 people generate 5 calls a week on LinkedIn. And that's it. And I felt like it was like really constricting me. But when I did that, it made it very easy for people to understand what I was doing. And I went from $10,000 a month to $96,000 a month in literally 4 months. And I was like fucking gobsmacked. Like December 2023, $96,000 a month. I was like, this is just like double my old accountant salary. So like when I was listening to the call and listening to everyone is so kind of like insecure around the fact of like, if I say that I only help this very specific person, I'm not going to get all these other clients. But what's actually happening is when you say, I help founders or I help busy professionals, it's not actually a niche. Like when you think about a niche on what actually attracts people to people, it's really the subculture of that they're involved in. So an example of a good niche, right, would be CrossFit dads on the northern beaches who want to deadlift 180 kilos, but are worried about fucking their back so they can't play with their kids. That is an actual niche, because when I said that, you can think in your mind a dad that's fit deadlifting with kids around him, right? But if I say I help busy professionals with their sleep, fuck does that even mean? Like it's not actually a niche. And so what's really key is that you decide on what is the problem you're going to solve for the very specific person. And so for me, the person I'm speaking to is the frustrated small business owner or solo operator who's sitting there on LinkedIn, DMing and typing and doing content and literally getting nothing. And they've spent 6 months listening to other people, buying sales nav. They got 1 or 2 leads and they're just sitting there really frustrated at what they're doing. And so then I show them a vision or a path to get there. So it's really, you've got to serve one very specific person to go from A to B. And if I didn't make that mistake, I wouldn't have burned 180 grand. All right. The second mistake I made was like not talking to enough people. Like it is like pretty much every small business owner in the world could solve all of their problems if they just spent an hour a day, every day prospecting and just reaching out to people. And I learned this, like the previous business that I co-founded, we used to do telephone bill sales. So in Australia, there's this big old bad company called Telstra. They rip absolutely every business off, especially rural businesses and non-profits within Australia. They fucking shaft these people as well. And so essentially what we used to do is we used to get in touch with these businesses. We used to do a bill analysis to show them, hey, you can actually save 50% off your bill. And here's how to make sense of the 100,000 page bill sitting on your desk that you're dreading reading. And we'll show you how to save it. And then we might help you install a new phone system. The problem was that, we had no marketing. I had no marketing. Our website was terrible. And, prior to that, I worked at Zoom video communications. So Zoom being like Zoom calls. And I worked there during COVID. The way I got meetings at Zoom was I emailed someone and said, hey, I work at the Zoom Sydney office. Do you want to have a meeting to set up your Zoom account? And they'd be like, of course I do. It's COVID. I want to help you set this up. Previously, I didn't have to actually work and reach out to that many people to actually book calls. In this other business, we had no brand, no credibility. So the only way I could do it was cold calling. And I literally used to sit at my home for 2 hours, heart beating out of my chest, dialing randoms, just getting them to pick up. But like, I did that for 5 months, 2 hours a day. I made 5,000 calls, booked 150 meetings, and we ended up closing millions of dollars off the back end of that. And so most business owners are, number one, they're terrified of rejection. So you were terrified to reach out to people. And that's a natural human instinct, right? Like it's the same as dating, right? People don't want to approach a bunch of people as well because they're scared of getting rejected. But the second thing is small business owners just completely underestimate the amount of people you have to reach out to and the amount of conversations that you have to actually have in order to generate leads. So the mistake I made was like, I just didn't talk to enough people purely. And so if you just 10 times the amount of reach outs to, people you chatted to, you 10x your leads. And everyone knows like every problem you have in your business right now, think to yourself right now, if I had 10 times the leads, would this problem even exist? It wouldn't, because you just increase your prices, you hire more people, or you just say, I'm not going to work with you, you shitty client. Get fired, get fucked, go away. And so like, that's the second big mistake. I just didn't talk to enough people, which is a huge thing. The third mistake I made was with content. Like I had zero idea how to produce content. Like previously in the past, I was a sales guy. I was never a marketing guy. And when I started posting on LinkedIn, I literally had no idea about content. I remember I gave up posting on LinkedIn 4 times because I get such low traction. I get like 4 likes on a post and like, I'd be like, man, I put so much effort and blood, sweat and tears into this. It wasn't until I actually got serious about content and decided, actually, I'm going to go pro. Like I'm really actually going to try. I'm not going to fuck around. I'm just going to throw the fridge at it and try to get really good. So I bought copywriting books. I immersed myself and I just wrote a lot of LinkedIn posts. I think 1,200 LinkedIn posts. I post twice a day, 7 days a week now, which is fine for me. Not suggesting you should do it. You should do, 3 to 5 days a week is totally fine as well. If any, start with 1 day a week. Everyone's too chicken shit of what other people will think about them, so they don't actually post anyway. So as long as you just do it, you're ahead of 99%. The mistake I made was like when I was posting content, I was posting to a broad audience. And it wasn't until I actually defined, okay, who is my niche? Who are the people I'm going to help get from A to B, that I realized that writing content is just like you're doing sales. You're speaking to a person, you are trying to sell to them. But really the content that you write is, I want to be writing content that's so specific, the person feels like they're receiving a handwritten letter in the mail when they read the content, because they're like, wow, you're actually describing my exact situation of what I'm going through right now. It's as if they're opening that letter, and everybody opens a handwritten letter. Nobody doesn't. If you didn't open a handwritten letter, you're a dead set psycho, right? Because no one sends letters anymore. But when you think about content, right? Once you get your niche dialed, you start speaking to 10 times the amount of people, then you realize, I know what the problems these people have. And so when you're writing the content, it's really key to write, Dear Bill. And Bill would be the client that you want to help and the best client that you've ever worked with, right? The one who you got the best transformation, right? And if you haven't helped Bill, write to the imaginary Bill if you don't have clients, right? Right, Dear Bill, and then write your content. Address every post to a single individual and that person you're visualizing in their mind. And I'm visualizing, my ex-boss, Nick, who owns an accounting firm who I worked with, who was always terrified of marketing. He's an accountant. He wasn't traditionally doing it. And I'm picturing Nick as I'm writing these posts to really simplify it and dumb down the marketing message, because he's the person I want to get in contact with. The person really frustrated, posting content, sending these messages, feeling really icky and weird and needing another direction. So when I write the content, people are like, holy shit, you read my mind. And then eventually they come to a workshop of mine and they say, I would love to work with you. So that's really the power of content. Like sales is building trust one-to-one. So like when you're in a conversation with someone, that's building a relationship one-to-one, and you build trust fastest. Content is building a trust one-to-many. You watching this video, if you get value of this right now, you are correlating that value with me. And so you might actually trust me unless you think I'm full of shit, well, I'm probably creating some distrust then as well. But trust is the ultimate game right now of business. Like in a world with AI where deepfakes are everywhere, no one believes anything online, right? Trust is the ultimate currency. People used to say attention is the new oil. Trust is literally like the new gold. It is everything, because if you trust someone, you will just do something, right? Which is super key. And so what you're trying to create with your content is, don't try to write it for everyone. You try to write it towards one person to really create trust with them. Let's go through the 3 mistakes again briefly, because I really don't want you making these mistakes yourself. So number 1, you have to choose a niche. Like it is super critical. And actually below, if you click a link, I'm going to put an AI GPT and my whole entire book on niching, you click that, you'll get access to it. It's 25,000 words, completely free. You can paste your LinkedIn profile, you can paste all your content, it will tell you your niching score out of 100. Secondly, you need to talk to 10 times as many people as you thought you would. You need to throw shame out the fucking window and you just say, fuck this, I'm gonna build a life where I can take Thursdays and Fridays off and just hang out with my kids. And I don't have to stress about that shitty client where you wake up at 4:30 in the morning thinking to yourself, oh my God, like, how am I gonna deal with solving their problems? You can fire them the fuck out and you can actually get clients you enjoy working with. And the third thing is like getting good at content, deciding that you'll go pro and only writing to a person, directing it. Pretend like when you're writing this piece of content, you're writing someone a handwritten letter who is Bill, who is your audio avatar, and you're trying to give Bill so much value that when Bill reads it, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this person actually wrote this to me, because broad-based stuff doesn't do anything. So if I can do this, someone who in 2018, I was an accountant earning $45,000 a year, and now literally today I'm gonna make about 60 grand. Like, if I can do this myself, you definitely can. And like, you know, you're probably way more educated than me, way smarter than me. It literally just takes determination and showing up and just never giving up. Like, that's just it. So I love the term, just throw the fucking fridge at it. Literally try your absolute hardest to really do it and just keep going and don't stop. So at the moment, we're running workshops every couple of weeks. A few hundred people come every time. So if you got value, click the link below. We'd love to see you there. Peace out. Catch up.